Okay, good morning everybody. I hope we're having a great week so far. So this video for today is all about adding value as the theme on this week, and particularly we're going to talk about permitted development. Now, if you're not involved in property or you're not in the real estate or construction industry, you might not know what permitted development is, which is fine because we'll go into that in a little bit more detail shortly. But you might be thinking, why is this relevant to you if you're not in the property, construction, real estate industry, because permitted development is quite a specific topic? Well, it's all about adding value in the least resistive way. And what I mean by that is permitted development within property are rights that we have as property owners to extend and develop our houses or other properties that we have control of. And so they are rules and regulations which mean that we don't need planning permission, which is great because planning can take anything from 8 weeks and above. So why this is relevant to any other business owner or anybody who's looking to add more value to their customers and clients is it's looking at what you can do as an individual within the industry you're working in to add more value with the least resistance possible. So hopefully it will provoke some thoughts to allow you to think outside the box, or to look at ways in which that you can quite easily and simply add more value to your clients and customers. So permitted development then, why is it relevant to adding more value? So I've alluded to already that it is legislations and regulations that we can use to develop or extend properties that we own without applying for planning permission. So it's a very, very easy way to add more value through the gross internal area of a property. And what that means in very simple terms is it's easy to make the property bigger. And especially for the projects that we have going on in the southeast, around Croydon and Red Hill, Gatwick, those kinds of areas, adding square meterage to a property is very, very valuable. So it can be anything up to £5,000 per square metre in value when you add size to a property. And so to give you an idea of what that can do for putting money in your pocket, shall we say, is it takes or costs anything from £1,700 to £2,700 per square metre to develop. So if you're spending £2,000 for a kind of a middle figure there on developing a square metre or a property, and it's going to be worth £4,000 to £5,000 in value when you're finished, then it's a very, very worthwhile investment because you're almost doubling your money purely by spending some money on the property. So it's a very convenient and straightforward way to add more value to your property when you're looking to develop it. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, that sounds interesting, not really come across it before, but actually how much value can it add? So I'm going to include a link below in the comments after this video from YouTube, which just gives you a short demonstration on what can actually be done depending on what your property is, because there are different limitations when it comes to terraced, semi-detached or detached properties. But I think you'll actually be surprised in what type of size and value you can add to that property. To give you an example, we're looking at a deal at the moment. It's a detached property and the garden is really, really big. So on a very large plot, and we've looked at it and we could do a loft conversion, a rear extension and a side extension, and we can actually double the size of the house without applying for planning permission. And so if you want some more information on how you actually do that, then please do let us know, reach out to us and ask the questions. But we are essentially looking to double the size of a property without applying for planning permission. Now there will be some regs and some notifications we need to apply and submit to the council, and that's just part and parcel of the industry we're in. But there's not many opportunities where you can double the value of something purely by spending a little bit of money and ultimately probably half the money that it's going to add the value to. So how is it possible then? How do we go about adding square meterage, in our case, to a property, adding value, and how can you do that too within your business or industry? So how we do the permitted development extensions and work within property, very simple. We look at the guidelines, we look at what we can and can't do within certain remits, whether it's a terraced property, detached property, etc. We then look at local planning authority documentation to make sure that there's no restrictions in certain areas. So, for example, Nottingham City Centre is known as an Article 4 area, which is a planning restriction, and that removes permitted development rights. So we can't use a lot of our permitted development rights in Nottingham because the council have removed them. So the majority of property extensions or works have to be applied by planning permission. So we check the national legislation, we check the local legislation, and then we work closely with a planner and a builder to make sure that everything we do falls under permitted development. And then we submit our plans, we purchase the property, and we carry on. And so it's a very, very straightforward process to follow, in the sense of it's minimal paperwork, and it's about finding out exactly what it is that you need to do to construct that information or that property together and then develop it thereon. We then work out the cost per square metre on that build and the value that it's going to bring. So the recent project that we launched in Derby, so our 8-bed, we added a full loft conversion and a rear extension to that property, all under permitted development. And the value that we've added is nearly £100,000 to that property, bricks and mortar. So if we did nothing else to that, we've added almost £100,000 of value to that property purely because of the size that we have increased that internal area by. So there's very, very simple, straightforward ways to start adding value. From there on, it's a case of working with a trusted builder who knows exactly what permitted development is and can work within the constraints of that, because it's very easy, if you're pushing the boundaries of permitted development, to go over the margin and then be required to actually retrospectively apply for planning, which is not something you want to do when you have got the freedom to build essentially whatever you want within the constraints of the legislation. So working with a team like that is going to allow you to add value really, really simply, really easily, literally being given a step-by-step process on how to do it. So why is this relevant then to other businesses? So it's hopefully making you think, well, what in your industry could you do that has a path of least resistance to add more value to your projects, your customers, your clients, your services, etc. So could you add in a certain element or a certain product we've spoken about before that is an additional item to an existing offering? Is it that part and parcel of what you offer as your services or your products, you can team up with somebody else and you can do a bit of a partnership offering so that when somebody buys something from you, they get free access or half price discount or money off in a certain area as well. We see the vouchers all the time. We see the offers all the time. So is there a way that you can do that too? And then it's looking at, okay, how can you take that one level deeper? So we force appreciation on properties, whether it's splitting them to flats, making them high income generating assets. And then we're going that step further with permitted development to add the security level of the bricks and mortar value increase as well. So is there something you can do of that nature? Is there a way that you can make your product worth even more to that customer? So could you sell them a product that if they bring the receipt back, they can get the same product again for 50% off? So actually they've got 1.5 times the product for that same price. And so it's about seeing where you can add value through the path of least resistance, making sure that it's just value add, and you're constantly giving the customers, clients, investors, whoever you're working with, more for their money. So for us in property, permitted development is a great way to do this. And so when you've seen the visual representation in the YouTube video, you'll really see what I mean, because in a lot of cases, permitted development allows you to extend a property more than what you could possibly do with planning permission. It's very, very strange, and it's a very interesting concept because people still aren't aware, again in the property industry, of how much work you can actually do without planning permission. And to give you an example of the property that we're speaking about, because it's detached, we can do a single story rear extension that can be 8 meters long up until May 2019 and the full width of the house. So just to give you that one example, the house is 7 meters wide already, and we've got the capacity to do 8 meters extension at the back. So you've got 56 square meters of space that is going to be added to that property. Now, given the size of the property already, that is basically the whole ground floor we can re-add at the rear of the property with no planning permission. And so it's a very, very easy and simple way to add massive, massive value. So it's about looking at what you can do in the path of least resistance to add more value to your clients, your customers, investors that you're working with, and keep them coming back. Keep repeat business coming through week in, week out, month in, month out. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting, but I'm not involved in property, not looking at that, not really sure why or what I could do to add that to my offering. It's about exploring what it is you do, what it is that local businesses or local competitors do that's similar to you or that could work in harmony with you. And so it's not necessarily about using property as an example and now everybody offering, property services to people, but it's about looking at what it is that you could do in order to continue to add value. So can you, again, the examples I used before, add something additional, allow people to come back with their receipts or a voucher and get more discount off, allow them to, on a certain number of purchases, be able to get some free items or qualify for a workshop or just lots of different things that you can continue to do to add value and make sure that there's always that incentive for them to register, to buy, to come back. And it doesn't have to be detrimental to your business. It doesn't have to cost you more money to give them that offer or that service. It can purely be that if a select number of your sales are proportioned to be sold at a discount, then you know where your revenue is going to be, you know where your income is coming from, but also you're building your loyal customer base. And when you go further down the line and the more products become more valuable or more expensive and you up your prices, you know where your loyal following is going to be and they're going to move with you as those offerings change and increase, etc. So it's just about thinking how you can add value using permitted development within property as an example, because the legislation is there. The execution of using permitted development is straightforward as long as you follow every step of the way what you need to. And so it's looking at that example and going, okay, what is my path of least resistance? What are the offerings and the additions that I can add to my current offering? And how can I do that in a very easy, systematic and smooth way for my clients, customers and investors? So if you're thinking, what if I'm struggling to understand where my products can be adapted, where I can add more value, again, just spend a little bit of time looking at what it is you offer and what would make that offering better. And it might be finding out some feedback from individuals who've purchased from you before. It might be finding out some feedback from people who have purchased from you and continue to come back. What do they like? What would they like more of? What doesn't really attract them to come back? And you can start to change your offering more so. So getting customer feedback from local areas, demographics, individuals is very, very important to help you hopefully understand what that full offering can look like and where those additional added value extras can come from. So hopefully that's provoked a little bit of thought for what it is you can do, how you can add more value using something within your industry like permitted development, where the legislation is there. All you have to do is follow the system and the process to deliver it. So it doesn't matter whether you're in business, legal, finance, there will be an offering that you can provide to your customers and clients that is very minimal time and effort for you. So hopefully that's given you something to think about. Hopefully it's given you the opportunity to explore something new in an offering for your customers and clients. And hopefully it will allow you to start to think about how you can develop that added value package to more people, serve more people, and allow yourself to become the go-to people in industry for the value that you add. So that's a little bit on permitted development. but also how you can use a area of your industry to simply add more value to your customers and clients. Hopefully that's of useful. Hopefully, that information is of use. If you found it useful and you want more information around permitted development or what we do to maximize the returns for our investors through permitted development, then please do reach out and ask. If you think this video is relevant for anybody that you know, again, please do ask. So please do tag them, ask them to like and share this post as well. And if we can help in any way, whether it's in the Southeast or the Midlands with regards to projects, delivering, project management, anything like that, even if it's just a coffee, reach out to us, let us know what we can help with. That's all from me this morning. I hope that's of use. If you are using permitted development for your projects, I'd love to see what you're doing and how you're doing it. Always looking to expand our knowledge base on that side. And I look forward to catching up with you shortly. Bye for now.